very sad that anyone would do this.
A historic Colorado church struck by vandalism.
It's been pretty stressful and tragic.
Leaving the building with hefty repairs and without its beloved stained glass windows.
A controversial video shown to students at Denver's South High.
If the victim hasn't asked you to call the police, do not call the police.
That message leaving parents concerned.
The parents had a right to know that it was going to be shown.
Tonight, DPS says that video was not properly vetted. What the district tells us it plans to do about it moving forward.
Plus, a sight you love to see, Broncos receiver KJ Hamler back on the field 1 year after a devastating knee injury.
An historic church left with thousands of dollars in damage after a man goes on a vandalism spree in Longmont.
Police say St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, the oldest standing church in Longmont, was one of several buildings hit early this morning.
And among the damage, the building's beloved stained glass windows busted out by rocks. Denver 7's Bayan Wang is live outside of that church tonight, where its owners and volunteers, they're struggling to replace what was destroyed. Bayan?
Yeah, hey guys, they are dealing with quite a bit right now. The owners tell me that the suspect used a chair and these rocks right here to smash in their stained glass windows, which were restored about 50 years ago. And unfortunately, as you guys mentioned, this wasn't the only building damaged.
It's the first church in Longmont. It's been part of the community for, what is that, 140 years?
And today, a part of that rich history was significantly damaged.
This is St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. 10 of our stained glass windows were vandalized.
Elise DeSantis with the Historical Society says replacing these windows is no easy task. The original artist passed away several years ago.
We believe that minimum it's going to be $15,000 to $20,000. First person we talked to, she was booked out for 2 years.
Police have since arrested the suspect, 37-year-old Juan Salas. He's being charged with multiple counts of criminal mischief after police say he broke the windows of at least 7 other buildings, including the city's library, civic center, and another historical building that once housed the Carnegie Library.
Yes, at least thousands of dollars of damage.
Longmont's assistant city manager, Sandra Cedar, says the vandalism was unprecedented.
I've been with the city over 20 years and I've not seen anything like this before.
The city estimates about $19,000 of damage was done to city property. But for Old St. Stephen's Church, the damage was far more sentimental.
I would definitely describe it as cruel. I describe it almost as violating too. You just think of how many memories were in this church, you know. It's extremely hard. It's hard for the history.
And right now, the owners are going through the insurance process, though it isn't clear how much insurance would cover. So they're asking anybody in the community who would like to donate to visit their website. That screen is up right now. You can also find that link on our website, thedenverchannel.com. But for now, we're live in Longmont. Bayan Wang, Denver 7.
All right, Bayan, thank you. This isn't the first Colorado church to be struck by vandals in recent memory. In May, Sacred Heart Church of Mary in Boulder spray painted with pro-choice messages after the leak of the Supreme Court opinion overturning Roe v. Wade. That same church was vandalized in last September. Last October, the Cathedral Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in downtown Denver also defaced with hateful messages and references to Satan.
Developing tonight, the Uvalde, Texas School Board has fired Police Chief Pete Arredondo. This comes exactly 3 months after a school shooter killed 19 students and 2 teachers at Robb Elementary. Arredondo has been the focus of criticism over the police response to that shooting. And as you know, officers waited more than an hour before going into the classroom and killing the gunman. During tonight's school board meeting, a little girl called on Arredondo and the officers that day to resign.
If a law enforcement's job is to protect and serve, why didn't they protect and serve my friends and teachers on May 24th? I have messages for Pete Arredondo and all the law enforcement that were there that day. Turn in your badge and step down. You don't deserve to wear one.
Now, he was not present for his own firing, and in a statement, his lawyer cited concerns for his safety.
Well, concerns tonight after students at Denver South High School were shown a video offering tips about ways to respond to racist attacks.
And one of those tips encourages people to not call the police for help. Today, Denver 7's Amy Wattis spoke to parents who say they weren't clued in on what students would be seeing.
If the victim hasn't asked you to call the police, do not, I repeat, Do not call the police.
This is part of a nearly 4-minute video Denver Public Schools says it showed to the student body at Denver South High School on Tuesday.
Because police have been trained to see people of color, gender nonconforming folks, and Muslims as criminals, they often treat victims as perpetrators of violence.
A video that's not sitting well with some parents and guardians.
I think that it's not appropriate.
Angel Magirwa's niece is a sophomore in the high school. She says she feels it puts all police officers, even the good ones, in a bad light.
They're the ones that are trained to help that kind of situation out, and students shouldn't feel, or parents shouldn't feel as though that they're not able to come to them as a system when they're in need of help.
To give you some context, Denver South High School has more than 1,700 students. Around 47% are white, 32% are Hispanic, and 9% are black. Denver South's principal posted this letter on the school website, saying in part that the intention behind the video was to provide empowerment for people who may witness these types of attacks and not to have any sort of negative impact on the relationship between Denver Public Schools and Denver Police. The district stressed it did not create the video and said the video was not properly vetted prior to its viewing, and says there are some narratives in this video that we do not subscribe to in DPS.
I think if a video was going to be shown, the parents had a right to know that it was going to be shown.
The president of the Denver Black Police Officers Organization says that while it's still very important that we capture the racial and bias events that may be occurring, it's also important to report these types of incidents so these types of acts aren't tolerated. Amy Wattis, Denver 7.
And tonight, a DPS spokesman tells Denver 7 that the expectation is that this video will not be shown again.
Negotiations continue tonight between Denver Public Schools and the Denver Classroom Teachers Association. Talks tonight are really focusing on pay. The union is calling for pay raises to help the district retain teachers. So negotiations continue tomorrow, and the teacher's current contract expires 1 week from today.
Police at Colorado State arrested a man who threatened 2 students with a knife. The incident happened just before 10 this morning near the rec center. Police say a man by the name of Keenan Stuckey grabbed a student by the arm, and when another student intervened, Stuckey pulled out a knife before walking away. Police eventually arrested him. He is being held on charges of false imprisonment and harassment.
A man is facing charges tonight for assaulting multiple people, including Boulder police officers. BPD says officers were called Tuesday to report of a man in the road at 30th and Aurora in Boulder. Police say Perry Gilreath choked a passerby before the officers arrived, and then when they did arrive, police tried to arrest him. They say Gilreath kicked one officer in the head and punched him in the face, causing a concussion. Police say he also bit another officer as he tried to take her weapon, and also that he attacked a UPS driver who tried to help police. So tonight, Gilreath is charged with multiple counts of assault and obstructing arrest. Tonight, police believe he might have attacked even more people, so they're asking any victims to please contact Boulder Police or Crime Stoppers.
Tonight, the union representing Aurora firefighters and paramedics says it does not want to use a new sedative the city is pushing. Aurora Fire said it plans to introduce a sedative called droperidol, and the drug is seen as an alternative to ketamine, which the city stopped using after the death of Elijah McClain. Medics injected McClain with a heavy dose of the sedative shortly before he died in 2019. 3 police officers and 2 Aurora Fire paramedics have been charged in McClain's death. Well, the president of Aurora's fire union says they weren't included in the decision-making process to use this new sedative, and firefighters are hesitant to inject anyone after what happened to Elijah McClain.
We had a sedative prior to this called ketamine, and we were told the same thing, that it's a safe drug, and we have two of my members that are on trial for murder.
Aurora's medical director says adding the sedative will bring the department in line with other EMS agencies.
Loveland police tonight warning about a phone scam. So they say crooks are spoofing the police department's phone number, so it looks like Loveland PD is calling you on the caller ID. The scammer then tells the victim there's a warrant for their arrest and that they can pay the bond by giving them their credit card information. Now, Loveland police say they would never process warrants over the phone, and they warn anyone who gets this type of call, never give out financial information.
Water providers from Denver, Aurora, Colorado Springs, and Pueblo are announcing commitments to reduce their use of water from the Colorado River. In a letter to the Bureau of Reclamation, the water providers said they will focus on several key areas, including developing programs to replace non-functional grass or cool weather turf, increasing water reuse and recycling programs, and expanding conservation and efficiency programs to accelerate water savings. The Colorado River is in the midst of a 20-year drought, leading the U.S. government to declare a water shortage, triggering mandatory cutbacks.
Debt relief is on the way.
I feel like I won the lottery today. I'm not going to lie about that.
Coloradans celebrate as the White House forgives millions in federal student loans.
80s and 90s today. We'll do it again tomorrow, but there's a change coming by Friday.
Plus, John Elway addresses his future with the team he helped lead to 3 Super Bowl wins.